and it's like you leap from one vantage point, and like he said, like a teleportation kind of mode. So I think the game's going to be good. I can actually pull up some gameplay for it right now, actually.
Yeah. $500. I don't even have a job, so I don't think I would be getting it right now. It's something I'm considering maybe trying to figure out a way to get, but only way I'd be getting that would be robbing a bank. I'd be pulling a Two-Face. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't actually
You
do
don't
that. That'd be rude, but that'd be bad.
you
I
don't
get
want to.
arrested by the IRS or something. Like, he just said to go rob the bank. Get him! Shit.
You don't want to. You definitely don't
No,
want to.
I don't think I would be able to get it right now. I would have to figure out a way to like maybe sell some art or do something
Yeah.
first. And I know that a lot of people would want this to be like a console game, but the way it is designed specifically for VR, it would honestly feel like if they were to backtrack and do it for consoles now, it would feel a little bit off because in doing this for VR, you have to consider, okay, so he doesn't have as many gadgets. So you have smoke bombs, batarangs, the new little gel launcher thing, and that's it. And a lot of people would be pissed because, like, oh, well, if this was an actual console game, it's like, well, there's not many gadgets. So that's the first complaint. Then there's this. Then there's that. It's like, you can't please people because this is like everybody's so in particular. It's like, come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of people that don't like the idea of it being VR. I'm going to say that it was actually a brilliant idea from the start because everyone always has the power fantasy of like when you put on like a Batman costume or you put on an Iron Man costume, like you walk around in Comic-Con, you get to feel what it's like to do be in that costume. And this, it's like not just feeling what it's like to be in the costume, it feels what it's like to do the combat, do the actions. Because in Arkham, you were it was a sandbox. You're controlling Batman, but it's nothing what it's like to be like in first person and see what it's like to do the combos. Like you're putting inputs in and controlling him from a distance and doing the stealth. But like if you're in the moment, you have you like in Arkham, you have the camera is like your greatest ally, right? You
Yeah.
have like detective vision, you can see around the room, but like in real life, unless you're looking at a mirror, you're never going to be able to see yourself or stuff like that. So like for this, it's actually a very realistic, like, okay, you actually get a sense of what it's like to be Batman and the Arkham games from a different point of view. It's like you put on the detective vision, you can see the enemies, but like it's not reliant on the camera, it's relying on you. Like you actually get to be a part of the world versus seeing the world from a distance and controlling the character of Batman. You actually feel like you are him in the moment.
Yeah. That's
I feel like
very
that's
well
the
put.
best argument I can make.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. And I tell people all the time, like I'm still a firm believer in that game is going to get ported over like they did, like Camouflage Studio did in the past with the Iron Man game that released on the MetaQuest 2. They got ported over to PlayStation. That was originally a MetaQuest 2 release and it got ported over. So I definitely think that it's definitely going to get ported over to. I don't think it's going to be PlayStation VR 1, but the people that have PlayStation VR 2, I think that it's going to get ported over to that because I haven't heard anything about a PlayStation VR 3 and it makes it all. So that's one of the things that I'm super excited for. And for $500, I'm definitely not going to buy it because that's literally just that's just literally crazy.
What robotics for a minute though.
It's ridiculous, bro. Like you see that?
And the best thing, go back a little bit. You want to know something interesting with the grapple? The way it comes out of his wrist is actually a direct little bit from like Matt Reeves' Batman's
Yeah.
movie because the way the grapple comes out, it comes out a different way. And I think they pulled that from that movie when they were designing the game.
Gotham like a plague. I have to stop it, even if it consumes me.
I don't know how they're gonna do the gliding. It could be just a random button press, but I'm a little worried on it.
I think it's more so of like the triggers on the back of it. It's like you jump off, you glide, and you would use the analogs to like turn like you would on the controller, but more so of you will be able to see all of that kind of thing.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know.
It's the freaking bat!
Iconic line right there. It's the freaking bat! Get him!
Jim, this raccoon could be
Actually, if you go back a bit, I think one of the moves they brought back, I think this was like Arkham City, but they removed it in Arkham Knight, but they have like the bat swarm. I think in a way they changed it up a bit when he does it. I think. I'm not for certain, but I think that's one of the moves that he does in this trailer.
King could be anywhere.
See, like you activate the detective mode. See that?
Soldier in his own
Batman Arkham VR, you couldn't do all of that. Like this aspect of picking up things off of the desk and flipping it to see what it is. You could do that, but for it's like combat gliding, being able to walk around.
Like targets are all city employees.
Also, funny thing, if you go back with Jonathan Crane, he actually already has like a noose around his neck, which is kind of funny.
Symbol. You could have been a god.
Bolton, yes.
You don't calm down. Someone's going to die.
Alfred, we tried it your way. Now we do it mine.
Something big's going down tonight.
But did you notice, right? Like right here on this scene,
it your way. Now
he has the detective mode on. You can see he's scanning this guy right here. It's a gun laying right here. Guns laying down. Gun right here. A guy right before he turns off the detective mode. Look at how the person hits it. You have to hit that. You know what I mean? That's something that
you have to move your head up to your head.
You got to do all of that.
Yeah, and you also can see like you can go into the grapes as well. So like you can do some strategies.
Yeah, you can do great takedowns like you could in the Arkham games. That's the Batwing right there dropping off of explosive gel like in the Arkham games as well.
Well, it's changed up a little bit, but yeah.
It feeds the shadow.
These are people right here. We got Harley Quinn, the ventriloquist.
Scarecrow in the background and Albert Wesker. Yeah. Not Albert Wesker, but like freaking what's his name in Scarface. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's some stuff that you would be able to see in here too, because this is right before Arkham. This is after Arkham Origins, right before Arkham Asylum.
And the funny thing is, if you look at Scarface, the design is a little different than the one we get, I believe, in Arkham City. And I think what it was said was that Scarface was kind of like a copy. It wasn't like the actual doll.
It was,
and I find it very interesting. They kind of they went with a puppet, like a legitimate puppet look, and it doesn't have like the suit and the way that the Joker's version did. And all that. I think, and I really hope that some of the villains like him and maybe some other ones we could see, because we have Ratcatcher in this game, and we just got confirmed that we have Lockup and Ventriloquist. If we have Humpty Dumpty and a few others, that would be awesome. My biggest worry with this game is because of the fact it's VR, is how they're going to handle the bosses. Because in the Arkham games, the bosses were always some unique, but it was always something that had an edge to, like, it reflected combat or stealth, or like it reflected the game very well. And this was like this is going to be a very massive challenge, because you look at like boss fights like Deathstroke or Scarecrow, if you can call the Asylum boss fights completely, that some of them had like different perspectives or they had different strategies. I'm hoping that they could still have that same feel as the boss fights in Arkham, because without like you relying, like, the one thing that worries me is this game is set in like first person and all that, so it's like I'm worried that with the boss fights, there is going to be a bit of a downgrade when you think about it, because that you have to be reliant on what you can see. And like if you look at the Bolton fight later in the trailer, it is combat oriented, but it's still a bit sluggish, and it's like, it's hard to explain, but you
Yeah,
can
like right
continue
here,
saying.
you can tell that you have to wait for him to swing to
Yeah.
dodge. It's not anything that's going to be super fluent.
I also like that they gave him like a electric little whip thing.
Yeah, almost
That's
like
pretty cool.
the electrocutioner or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a fan of like the gauntlets like that, how they kind of like become the knuckle things. Like I don't know how I feel about some of that elements, but it's like it's cool, but it's like like the
yeah,
way it looks at times. It's just. I do like that they brought lockup into this. I feel like I think there was one thing. I think somebody tried to say, well, of course they're with Ratcatcher and like lockup, they're race swapping. He's like, who the hell fucking cares? Who the
yeah.
hell cares? His first freaking appearance in the game. Who cares?
That's been
Who cares?
that's been a thing
I'm
been
so
going on
sick
for a
of that
while now
crap.
too. Yeah, that's
Um,
that's been a thing that's been going on. But overall, I think the game's going to perform. I think the
yeah,
game's going to perform very well, just because
yeah,
there are a lot of people that and it's and performance wise, I mean the people that can afford to grab a VR, they're going to enjoy it. That's what I mean when I say that, because you got to think about it. If the game is releasing, they already have the MetaQuest 3 out, right? So
yeah,
we got MetaQuest 3 already out. We have a PlayStation 5 Pro that's in development of coming out too next month. Well, and tomorrow, because if the state of play happens, which I think it will more than likely, because Jeff Grubb is goaded, right? We got the PlayStation 5
it
Pro
better
that's
happen. If
definitely
it's
going to
not gonna happen,
release. That's going to release this year, and it's kind of like, well, what am I going to choose? Am I going to choose the PS5 Pro, or am I going to choose a VR headset? And I'm pretty sure about 8 times out of 10 people are going to choose the PS5 Pro. That just kind of makes more sense, right?
yeah,
So yeah, that's what I'm saying.
it's always about money. I
Yeah,
think the thing that a lot of people don't like VR because of like there's also other variables of like motion sickness and other stuff. And I feel like it's hard to like really it's hard to really do anything for those people because it's like it's VR and like some like that type of moving around and stuff like that.
yeah.
It would be very difficult. Um, I
Space is
will
what matters
say,
too.
yeah, I'll say that it's gonna be I'm looking forward to the game. I do have some worries only on the boss fight thing because like you look at boss fights that we have in the series, it's gonna be very hard for them to like structure those fights in a way that works within the confines of like the mechanics and stuff like that. I know that even Arkham Asylum had its problems with like boss fights, and it was massively overhauled, and like freaking Arkham City. So it's like if they're going with an Asylum approach, like that's going to be maybe a detriment in a sense, especially on a boss fight front, because
Right.
this is VR. So
Well,
I don't know how they're going to do it, but I am looking forward to the game. I don't know, like one of my many theories is that the Rat King is actually Ratcatcher, but it's like a split personality or a disease looking like thing. I don't really know,
like a
or
two-faced kind
maybe
of
it's like a
situation.
brother or a child. Who knows?
Before we get on to the next topic, I do got a question for you. Which Batman game out of the four, even Origins, even though that's not a Rocksteady game, out of the
Yeah.
four Batman games, which one was your favorite?
Well, it would have been a tie for me between City and Origins. As much as I love Night for its gameplay and stuff, I feel like there's elements that I do not like about it enough to where it doesn't work as much for me. Where City, I believe that has there's a lot of story stuff and a lot of just things that I like about it from boss fights. where not Night, but Origins, it's like there's a lot of interesting things with it. Like reason why I think not Night, but City and Origins tie for me in a story front is because where City shows like a dichotomy between Joker and Batman, but it's also Batman's dying. I think Origins tells a unique little thing of like, yeah, it's like another game where Joker's the main bad guy, but like the way Craig Smith like tells like this has this very interesting, almost like when you look when I was watching like Matt Reeves' Batman, that's the type of vibe it would give me. And just like some certain things, like even where he's like when Bane destroys freaking the manor, man, that whole scene with like, you know, certain stuff really got me thinking about. Like, I really like that. So it's a tie for me. I don't have a complete favorite, but it's a tie between City and Origins.
Yeah, like
It has a
that's
lot of elements I love.
I'm more towards this is huh? No, mine's the City. I'm going city all day. And it's like he said, it's not because of it. And people that play the Arkham games, right? They know like if it was not for games like Arkham Asylum, City, and Night, man, there's no way Insomniac Games would have been able to. Let me not say that because I don't want to discredit them at all. But the Arkham City was a huge foundation of the superhero genre. Even like now, we even looked it up. But yeah, the Spider-Man games were great before. It's like the zoomed in aspect on the character Spider-Man itself, like the way that it gives that camera view and shit like that. That's like City was the perfect implementation. You had, boss fights like Solomon Grundy. You had the Penguin boss fight wasn't really that big, but it brought in so many.
He wasn't even a boss. He just shot at you with a freaking grenade launcher, and like you just ran up to him and punched him in the face, and he's like, you just all out after that. It's like, justice, fuck you, you little bitch.
You literally had all of these different villains.
I feel like the one thing that I don't like about City is Catwoman.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that here's the reason why. Catwoman feels unneeded. Like, as much as, she's like there for like, what appeal. Her story doesn't completely, it feels like it was rushed, and it doesn't feel like it was even, you can play the game without it, and it still is fine. And it has the separate ways problem. The OG separate ways from like Resident Evil 4. It has that. Like, she doesn't have her own missions. The collectibles she have feel pointless. She has maybe 2 boss fights, and like they kind of feel not really that good in a sense. Like, I feel like Catwoman really could have been something, could have worked if they would have done the game a little bit like Miles Morales in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and they would have done it a little bit better, like tweaked certain things and added maybe a few missions or tweaked stuff a little bit. I feel like the game would have been a little even more better than it was.
Yeah.
But I feel like the one downside to City that makes it why it's a tie for me is Catwoman. Just because of that.
Yeah. Well, but speaking of WB, Catwoman, and Batman Arkham City, we got Warner Bros. is now looking to license out their IP to other studios. Now, this is something that me and Skadoosh has talked about in the past about how WB. I don't want to say too much of slandering it before I get the copyright strike on the channel.
When it comes to slandering, when it comes to WB, because they have a bad habit of messing up that.
And it's more so.
Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, when it comes to like what they did with Tim Burton and his movies, and then you go into like even them messing around with like their game IPs, it's like they don't. I feel like there's a lot of characters they could do, but there's a lot that would be hard to do mechanically. Now, would I like to see a Superman game? Yes. But I feel like if they could track down the people that made that one Superman game, all the way back in what was it? Before like the economy crashed, it was Degenerate Jay covered it. What? Yeah, I know that. I'm not blind to that. But if they do it, and like here's the thing: if there's a reason why I think a Superman game could work. And it's a particular Superman. It's CW Superman. Here's the reason why. That would be a perfect style of game for multiple reasons. CW Superman works in so many ways because if they set the CW Superman, this is an alternate universe of it, you can get very unique with it. Where maybe you could have either it could be one part, like you can kind of pull something on the lines of like Superman's battling in space, but you also can protect the Metropolis as one of his sons or both of his sons. I don't know, but something on the lines of that, because like Superman and Lois did introduce some interesting concepts, like the Eradicator also being Superman's brother or half brother. You have X Kryptonite and all that crap. So I feel like there's so many characters that you can have fun with when it comes to like WB. Like you can do a Wonder Woman game. That's perfect. Zatanna would be interesting. Yeah, like Monolith doing that. That's great. Um, yeah, Zatanna would be another one. Yeah. Well, that's true, but I feel like that is like the appeal of Superman is like you can still. I think that's why people like that old demo. Well, true, but the thing is, Superman does have control of this. Here's the thing: I feel like if yes, he's a very powerful character, but the thing is, he does restrain a lot of his power. It's like the Hulk. It's like Hulk could easily destroy everything if he wanted to do something. I think we didn't get a Hulk that really could show all his power until we got World Breaker Hulk. And even and yet they kind of expanded the lore, and then you got Immortal and all that crap. But I'm saying with Superman, he does have a lot more weaknesses than people are going to sit there and say. Like you can say kryptonite and you could say magic, you can say this or that, but you also have to consider that if you really wanted to, he is weak to certain things. Like yes, they kind of like they're almost like they can do certain things to him that do have an effect. Like live wire shooting electricity slightly always does kind of mess up with him, or radiation, or other stuff. Like he's not completely invulnerable, as like some people say. He does have some stuff. So yeah, and like radiation, red sun, all that stuff. But the thing is, I feel like the appeal of a Superman game is to be at full strength. And yes, he could destroy everything if he wanted to. But I feel like that's the reason why a lot of people like. I believe that one demo that one team made, like you were fighting Doomsday. I can't remember who did it, but if you can get that team to come back, but like take what they had, customize it, because like it was relatively great what they had. Like you can push enemies through buildings, you can do a lot of stuff, and there was like a lot of concept art. I feel like if they can do something like that and then customize it for maybe a different version of Superman, it would be great. Like you can even take elements and stuff. Like you don't have to rely on robotic enemies. You don't have to rely, because most of Superman's enemies, his like big like main enemies, only a few have like Mr. Mxyzptlk. He's practically a god that can reality shift and all that. You have a live wire that completely controls electricity. Parasite, which is basically like a corrupted version of Rogue, but much worse. Metallo relies on kryptonite. Lex Luthor's very smart. And then you have, I believe, it goes further into like the powerhouses, like Lobo. Like some of them are like a match for Superman in strength, durability, and stuff like that. It's not as much about power as it is like, can they withstand him as much as vice versa? And I believe most of Superman's enemies can. It just depends. Like Darkseid is like the biggest one.
Yeah. He says, I think they could make a Superman game. Would I play it? Probably not. This dude is crazy.
Oh, cool. Haters gotta hate on Superman because he's a Boy Scout. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke. I, yeah. I know it would be very hard, but I think it was already hard for them to do Batman when they were originally like. Here's the thing, Batman games were shit.
Nah.
No, look, okay, look, no. If you rewind the clock back before Rocksteady, if you look at the developer interviews, they were saying like there's a bit of a challenge to doing Batman right and doing you can like yeah he has no powers, but doing him right
Yeah, doing the lore
was the key
of his
thing.
character. That's what
Yeah, and
he's
getting
trying to
like
say.
the way he would fight and doing the combat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true, but I feel like. Well, that's the thing. It's like most of his villains. Like this is an argument that Angry Joe said. It's like most of his villains are. It's not about him being weak. They're already a match for him already. You capitalize on the villains as much as you do. Yeah, I can't remember. There's a lot. If anything, there's a lot of villain like characters I believe deserve a game. And there's one character in particular that I believe deserves his own game. He was going to be an Injustice, but they pulled him, and then he's been yanked around forever, and he finally got his comic series back, and that's Static Shock. That is the one character I think WB needs to capitalize on. Like he's pretty much like DC's Miles Morales.
Yeah,
There's so many things you can do with that character.
Static, yes, he's not lying. Static Shock is they can 100% make a great game based off of Static Shock, and
exactly,
still have a bunch of it. Like even WB, right? And what's funny to me is that some of they don't listen when it comes to whatever the people want, what the players want.
Yeah, because they're execs and all they care about is money.
But like animated wise, hands down, WB has the animated comic book series down to a T.
Well,
you know, like don't get me wrong. There've been a lot of amazing Marvel series. You know, like not animated wise, obviously, but for like DC animated films, TV shows, like DC is. I give my hats off to DC hands down for animated series.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like DC has had it down, but like lately they've kind of like slacked in some stuff. Like I feel like with their writing, especially with the animated stuff, like you had certain things that really just I don't know. It felt like there's a lot of stuff I feel like they've screwed up. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not
without a doubt. Say that it's not. I'm saying like recently, just like with the Marvel movies, it's like recently some things have been going a little And I feel like that's through the writing, as not the animation's not bad. It's like writing and like certain things they've been doing. I feel like that's the problem.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna talk about like characters for games, like DC games, like you could do Zatanna, you can do Green Arrow, you could do Static Shock. Hell, if you want a character like Superman that could work, you can do Steel or Superboy. But I feel like a lot of people would say, well, why not just do the actual character instead of like some like knockoff? And I feel like that's the tricky part.
That's
yeah.
It's a lot.
Oh, I would. I would in a heartbeat just to see what I can do with it. Well, I think the thing is I think that's the one thing is like there's always a challenge to something. And like that's the whole thing. You got multiple Spider-Man games to like that had all these great elements, and then like you got one studio that looked at everything else, like all these work great. Let's fuse them together. And then you got Insomniac Spider-Man. Now, did it do anything original? No, but it did kind of take all this stuff and kind of make it work and showed, okay, this is how you make a Spider-Man game.
Yeah,
And I feel like if somebody can, like, that's what they did with Batman. That's what they could do with Superman. Given the right opportunity, given the right studio, given like, okay, this is what we've had in the past. A lot of people take the gripes that didn't work and take a look at the character's history, look at what would work. Then you can maybe make something that's worth a damn. And that's yeah. No,
stop that, bro. You do this every time. This dude is
oh my
bananas.
goodness, he's pulling an ARH like freaking Gremlins 2. Okay. You're okay. Superman versus the Flash. Here's the problem. If you take away the Flash's ability to run on anything, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You take the Flash's ability to run, like if he can't run on a solid surface, he's fucked. So if Superman just was quick enough to grab the Flash and like whisk him off somewhere, he can. That's it. He's fucked. Like if he can put him in like the Phantom Zone or in space, he's fucked.
He said if you take away that ability though, but he can run on any surface. He literally phases through buildings.
Well, yeah, but he can phase through buildings. But here's the thing: the Flash's metabolism is like he has to eat a lot. He has to do a lot of things. There's only so much he can do. Yeah, Superman. Duh, that's right. Because the Flash. Here's the thing with the Flash. Here's the thing. The Flash has limits to how much he can do. Superman gets his power from the fucking sun, for God's sake. That's literally, he is like, I am Jesus, motherfucker. It is all he has to do. He can clap buildings together. He can destroy people with, like, he's literally like Homelander, but better.
Homeland. Yeah, Homelander ain't shit compared to Superman.
Well, true, that's true.
In the same abilities. The 7 is supposed to be like the Justice League. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but they're basically assholes.
The Deep is Aquaman. You got A-Train is the Flash. Homelander is Superman. You got Maeve is Wonder Woman. And then you have, you know what I mean? It's just
Technoid and all that. Yeah, I know. I'm fully aware. I just still say, I'm saying the basic facts of like Superman can easily beat the Flash. It's like in speed, maybe not, but when it comes to
not
just
even maybe like, it's not at all. He would have to catch him, and even then, the Flash.
No, speed he would lose because the Flash has the Speed Force. And he doesn't have any limits to how fast he can go completely.
Yeah, Flash can literally trap Superman inside of the Speed Force. He literally can trap Superman inside of the Speed Force.
Like, Superman knows the Flash. Like, here's the thing. If you can, like, when it comes to Superman, there is a story where he, like, the way he sees things, he honestly is a lot smarter than people give him credit for.
Then they make him in the comic books. I mean, not comics, but the animated show.
And if he knows what Barry can do, blah, blah,
you have to catch him first, bro. So I'm telling you, he can run Superman inside of the Speed Force and trap him in there, and Superman won't even be fast enough to leave the Speed Force, bro.
Okay, you know what? Here's my question: Who in the DC universe could beat Dante?
Dante from
That's right.
Devil May
Nobody can
Cry.
beat the Royal God.
Dante from Devil May Cry.
No one can beat the Royal God.
Is he talking
I'm
about Dante
kidding.
from
That was
Devil
a
May
joke
Cry?
one. That was a joke one. Devil May Cry, yes. I was making a joke about it, but no. That's not a legitimate one. No. You can't beat Royal God, good sir. Good sir. You can't beat Royal God. Okay, I'm joking. But no, I feel like there's a lot of characters I think DC could do video games for. It's like the same thing with Marvel. It's just the thing would be getting the right team and getting like it's very hard to come up with something that's original because like I think even Marvel Spider-Man 2 did have a bit of some problems with like yeah, you get a few features you wanted in the original game, but there's a lot that felt very underwhelming. And when it came to Marvel Spider-Man 1, you had multiple fucking factions. In this game, you got criminals, you got symbiotes, you got fucking the Flame. And after that, you know what else you get? Jack shit, nothing. What the hell? You can do at least a few more factions, and you can do a little bit more. I feel like there's a lot of things with Marvel Spider-Man 2 that I would have. Oh boy, that would be a video. That would be an hour-long video on its own. Oh boy, I'm not gonna go down that rant. Oh boy, I like Marvel Spider-Man 2, but I feel like there's a lot of problems with it that, like, you know, you can have the diehards that say it's flawless, but then you also have people that can recognize the flaws of the game and be like, okay, I see where he's coming from. And then you have the kiss asses that'll just be like, I just want a new free game, and so I'm going to say that your opinions are irrelevant. This game's flawless. Blah blah blah. It's like the same thing with movies. Like there's people that are like that, and it's just like, shut up. I'm very blunt. I'm sorry. Yeah. And that's another thing. That's something. There's one way to fix that. I would have done something where with MJ, you can actually see video footage of like maybe Craven killing off the enemies. Like basically, you could see a little bit of the fight instead of just having voice recordings. Like maybe you could have like a little bit of footage of how he fought them and stuff like that. Because it's partially implied that maybe Mr. Negative was the one that did it, but I'm doubtful. Like it's implied a little bit because, like,
it's
know,
like if you can't leave you can't leave her. You know how many people I killed, and it was like, oh, was it really Craven that fought all of these guys, or was it really Mr. Negative?
Like, I'm really doubtful of like Craven makes it seem like he was, and then you have. And it's like that's another thing of like pacing and like so many cuts. It's like shit. Damn it!
Yeah. It was never really said.
Well, so did Arkham City. But the thing was, like with Catwoman, the story was mild.
No, not
and
City, bro.
Still, Arkham City's Batman story was still flawless.
City,
practically.
City. No, City.
Yeah,
Catwoman.
City had two players. You had Catwoman and you had Batman. The thing was with Catwoman, it was more on that side.
She wasn't as involved in the game as Miles Morales was. Not man, her screen time was super.
End, but yeah, that is true.
Near the end, but her Catwoman's screen time was super low compared to Miles Morales.
I feel like that's. I think if
it wasn't even that long.
Anything that I feel like if someone was to do a rewrite of Arkham City, it would be fixing the Catwoman stuff and making it better and making it make sense. Because like the story itself for Batman is fine, but like for Catwoman, it's like how do you make and take that and make it make sense in a way that is like, okay, what do you do here?
Yeah,
But
she got
beyond
captured
that,
by Two-Face, and once she got captured by Two-Face, that was like a 10-minute
that's
a 10-minute fight of you fighting the goons, and then she gets released. Then
Well,
she's
Batman's
gone.
the one that took care of him, not
Yeah,
her.
yeah. Then she comes back at the end to help grab the stuff off of Batman. Like her,
yeah,
and
like
what
the
people
whole
don't know,
thing
her
with that
screen time was
feels pointless because it's like she could have easily slid the money through the what's it called and all that crap.
that was
Like it's just
Catwoman
like
was
it's really
DLC
stupid.
basically. Catwoman was
Yeah, it's
basically
pretty much
DLC.
DLC.
You
It
could only
was
swap.
technically.
Yeah, it was technically. You can only swap between Catwoman and Batman once the game was completely over with. That was it.
Hell, I'll make the argument to the end of time. Cold Heart Arkham Origins DLC was way better than Catwoman's DLC in everything.
Yeah, hands down. That was an hour and
I will
2-hour
argue
DLC.
that hands down. That is probably the best Arkham DLC ever.
Yeah, that's 2 hours. That's 2-hour DLC. That's why.
Yeah, that was way better. Exactly, it was longer.
You literally got a 2-hour expansion to a 2-hour expansion to the original game, and that's not even 2 hours of just side quests. That's 2 hours of just DLC.
In general story.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's not dealing with anything else. But
Yeah,
I think
that was awesome.
I think what he was saying is that it would be super hard to make some of these characters, like he was saying, Superman is super destructive. You don't want to make him seem weak. He has a they could, I mean, it would be to some of the bigger characters. Like that's what he said, Green Arrow. It would have to be a Green Arrow. Somebody
True,
like
but I feel like even with like Superman and Lois, you had the whole thing with that fight with Doomsday. Like you can still show destruction and still have it contained. Where like because Superman does hold back his strength a lot, but when it comes to certain like villains that like equal him, it's like he doesn't hold back his punches mostly. Because like he can go stronger. He just chooses to hold it a lot back. It's like with Batman, he does restrain himself from putting guys in a coma and killing them. So, well, it's like he holds back, and even in the comics,
yeah,
that's
it's
the
just
thing.
more
It's like
so.
he holds back in most fights. With like the thing with him is that
Yeah, it's all.
well, obviously, because like you're battling against like weak ass people, like with guns or shit like that. I feel like most superheroes do that because it's a form of restraint and yeah, like yeah, he has abilities, but he has to restrain them. Like he has punched somebody so hard that he has killed people. Like even Jessica Jones, like if you watch like like Purple Man controls her. He's like, take care of her. Take care of this woman. She punches her so hard, full strength, and kills her. And that's the thing is like if they were to unleash full, strength on somebody, it probably would kill them in a second. Because like the bone density and like your muscle structure, there is a bit of science to it of like if they were to go full ham, they would die because like brain damage, ribs, anything like something could snap and dead. So yeah,
Yeah, he
oh,
can.
he could.
He
The
can.
thing is,
Hands
Green
down.
Goblin also is enhanced as well, so
Yeah.
that's why he's less like he has durability that can match Spider-Man, so he can take those hard-hitting punches, and Spider-Man can easily kill him. I think he has. But most of the time it's just like it's a choice not to kill him. Like originally he was originally supposed to die. And people loved him so much they brought him back. It's the same thing with Thanos. It's just like people love the villains. but you sometimes do have to kill some off. You can't just keep bringing them back over and over, or it would just feel redundant. Yeah.
I think if I think the best character for the sake of the argument for the DC superheroes is that if you're going to make a game, obviously the person that you're going to have to use to try to make a successful game, obviously Batman, and people love Batman because the lore of the character. He's a human. Like you can find somebody that has $1 trillion to dress up in a bulletproof suit, going around whooping people's asses in a super fast car. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff like, yeah, you can relate to somebody like that because he's still a human at the end of the day. I think for the sake of the argument, the best person that WB Games would be best to license out their IP to would be somebody that's not super strong. So it wouldn't be a Superman because it's so hard to make a game, a Flash game. It's so hard to make one of those games. The next best character, yeah, it would have to be a Green Arrow game, and I'm Green Lantern. You can do Green. You can do Green Lantern. You can do a Green Lantern game and have it strictly revolve around a Lantern.
No, you can't. It's hard to do Green Lantern because of his ring. Because the only way, like, here's the problem with that. It's been done, but it's always been clunky. His ring, you can, like, the whole point of the thing is, like, whatever you can imagine, you can create. And the problem with that,
based on the will of the character, based on the will of the character. That's why John Stewart was always a better Green Lantern than Hal Gordon, because his will was stronger than Hal Jordan.
But I'm saying, like, how to do that mechanically would be very difficult. To, like, you know, create, you have thousands of things. You would have to, like, it would have to be, like, dumbed down to make sense when it comes to, like, mechanics and stuff like that. I feel like a Flash game would be interesting, proven by Infamous Second Son and the Neon Power. You can, and it being done in the past, like a Flash game was in works at one point. It looks good. Oh shit! Damn. Oh yes, they do. Oh, speaking of that, I would love them to do a director's cut for Infamous Second Son. That is actually something I believe should have been made.
He said the bad character needs to have his own IP. Yeah, he does.
I feel like Infamous Second Son deserves more of a director's cut than Ghost of Tsushima did. Because if you look at the concept art for Infamous Second Son, you look at all the things that they wanted to do with it, that is the one game I will make the argument that it would not feel like a cash grab. It would feel like you were completing the game, because you can tell that the game was rushed. Yes, it's graphically good. The mechanics are good somewhat, but you can tell that they kind of rushed it. And I feel like if there's one game that I feel like deserves a director's cut, and that's that one. Especially when it comes to the karma system. God, that is went out.
So what do you think? How do you think that the Wonder Woman game that they're working on is going to do? Because we all know that Wonder Woman is based off. Yeah, because it's based off of Greek mythology. I know you explained to me, Skadoosh, what the Nemesis system was, but it's so easier to do something. It's so easy to do. Not super easy, because don't get me wrong, I'm not a game developer or at all, right? So let's just say from the perspective of Greek mythology, they've done games like that with, like, God of War. They've done games like that with even with Assassin's Creed, stuff like that. It's all of those games revolved around that Greek mythology, and I think that the Wonder Woman game would potentially do super well. I want to see, will it be based off of when you told me to show me the Shadow War game, will it be based off of like open world RPG, or how do you think that they would do essentially the Wonder Woman game?
One thing I feel like that I do worry about is, like, some of the villains, because I know that Wonder Woman has only a few known villains. A lot of them, she has a lot of villains, but only a few of them are, like, known and mainstays. Like, Cheetah is one, Cersei is another, and Ares. And that's the biggest one. But the thing is, the biggest problem that I could see going against the game is, like, having a story that's original, having the villains like work and stuff like that, and having a map that really fits like mechanically the traversal and stuff like that. I honestly, like Epic Crack Battle says, don't freaking put her in an invisible airplane. She looks ridiculous, for fuck's sake. Dear Lord. It looks so ridiculous. I swear to yeah, I feel like that this do not give her an invisible airplane. It looks ridiculous. Even Epic Rap Battles, there's like that whole rhyme was so funny because it's true. She looks ridiculous. Um,
Right.
yeah. I've played a little bit, and the one problem with those games was I felt like some elements of the combat were very difficult to get a grasp on, especially when it comes to like blocking and yeah, but it still had some elements where it was like very finicky and it was hard for some people. That's true. Uh, well, they do like to copyright strike people, but the thing is, something that they do abuse that system a lot.
And that
These
for
companies
years,
do.
for
And
forever now, it's always been like
so
that.
I've never gotten a copyright strike, and now watch I say that I jinx myself. But the thing is, I try not to, I've gotten claims a lot of the time, but I've never gotten a strike. They abused it so much that I feel like YouTube honestly needs to redo that whole system in the first place, where it's like it becomes less of a way for people to abuse it. Because yeah, they say that it's like you shouldn't they like they can do stuff because you falsely do stuff, but really do you? No, because you let these big companies do it all the fucking time. So no, oh, sorry. It just so it annoys the shit out of me because they do that type of crap a lot. They try to people try to abuse it. You have people like even other content creators copyright striking another one. Just like it's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that's off topic. Sorry. I but one I feel like the one detriment to that system is that Wonder Woman isn't known for dying. I feel like she'll fight to her last breath, and like if she does die, they would have to make it make sense because there's different versions of her where she's born from clay, or she's the child of Zeus, or that stuff. Yeah, exactly. And the thing with demigods is even they die, and they would have to find a way to make that whole thing make sense, and that's something that does. I guess with like Shadow of Mordor, it does make sense because the guy's already dead and he's possessed. But with Wonder Woman, a character that isn't known for like dying and stuff like that, and the Nemesis system is based on like you defeat them or they defeat you, and I feel like that whole element is great if you defeat them or something. But if they defeat you, it's like they kill you. Well, Wonder Woman isn't known for dying, so like you would have to really take a lot of things into thinking. Like, okay, how the fuck would that work? That is true. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm 50-50 on when it comes to that whole idea of that system. You know. Well, it would be less than that when it comes to Rocksteady's system. Yeah, I mean, like you get Suicide Squad, and it was like maybe 5 seconds. Dead. Oh boy. Oh. Actually, if there's one, I take that back. You know, thinking about something you were bringing up earlier about Marvel characters that could be in their own game, I can think of a few, and the biggest one would be Power Pack for 3 reasons. We can kind of take a similar style that Guardians did, and but kind of change it a little bit, where you can actually play as those characters as well, and maybe upgrade them as well, like in separate parts of the story. So like you can mix the Guardians with Devil May Cry 5, where you can play as a certain character at certain points in the story. That would be perfect because each one has a certain set of abilities. Julie has like super speed. What's his name? I think Jack, what can turn into mist. Alex levitation or something he can do. I don't know his extent of his power. And Katie, I believe she can create balls of energy. I don't know what the whole thing was with her, but if anything, that whole team could be a kid's show and it would work perfectly. So
yeah. a kid's game for sure too.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I feel like it could be like inside of like Teen Titans, like the OG Teen Titans before Teen Titans Go came in and fucked up everything. Now, you can kind of do a similar thing to that.
I can. Yeah,
Teen Titans. That's another one too.
A Teen Titans game would make more sense.
Well, that too, but I'm saying in the realm from Marvel, like you could have Young Avengers or Power Pack, and it would work. Like Young Avengers or Power Pack.
They all literally can. They all can die except for Raven, and even Dan Hurst, she can too. So Cyborg can die. Yeah, all of them. The Teen Titans can die. If he still has a heart. He still has a heart. Yeah, a human heart. Yeah, he still.
Hell, they have like the Teen Titans have a lot of villains and stuff like that. So you can really do a lot.
No, Iron Man has like a pacemaker kind of thing. Something that.
Speaking of Iron Man, wait a minute. We haven't even talked about the Iron Man game and the Black Panther game.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's human because the thing is, he's not cyborg. He's not a cybernetic. Like, here's the thing. Cyborg was partially in like he's human, but he got damaged. But he got like they healed him with like alien technology, partially. So, like, depending on his origin, right? So he's but with Iron Man, the only thing that's cybernetic about him is the thing that's stopping the metal from going in his heart. That's it. The suit is like it's not connected to him. He can summon it. He can build more, but it's not built in him completely. The only piece of technology is keeping metal from going in his heart. Cyborg, on the other hand, it's built into him and stuff like that. So there's a bit of a difference. Yes, it can, but it also like I don't know. I'm not very good. I when it comes to school, I was the worst student. um, Yeah, and stuff like that. But I still, well, the thing is, you have to consider that the mother box technology, I feel like, would partially fix elements of his heart. I feel like if he does have one,
Are you talking about
because
Cyborg or are you Skadoosh? Are you talking about Cyborg or Iron Man? He's talking about Iron Man.
oh, Iron Man, he has a heart. Obviously, it's just the pace. The thing is, here's his. The heart is on the side of his chest, right? Where the arc reactor is in the center. So it's like the heart is in between the ribs. This is like in the very center of his chest. So it's like it's almost in the center where the point where the ribs meet. So it wouldn't be you wouldn't be taking away his heart. It's just in the center where it's hard to explain, but yeah. But beyond that, we haven't even talked about the Iron Man game and the freaking Black Panther game or Suicide Squad yet. So,
Yeah, I
should we
think
talk
that's
about those, or should we talk about the last one?
I'm
Oh boy, that's the biggest understatement of the year. Okay, here's the thing. Here's my thing with that game. I was looking forward to it because, like, genuinely, like most people, Arkham, love it. Here, but the thing that really started to, like, as the more trailers, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. The problem started to occur when you like actually saw, like, when I saw the gameplay, I was like, oh come on. Like most people, I was like, like there's so many ways you can make this better. It's like you can make it a strategy based shooter. You can have it to where certain characters have guns, but like, it's better if you use certain things. It's more like a tactical unit type of like game. That's what, like, well, the way I was thinking. Like you can do so much with it. It's like Gotham Knights. It's like you can mix Gotham Knights with Guardians and like command them to do this or whatever, tactical based shooter and whatever. But like the more stuff that came out about it, and then the more like the live service shit, at that point, I was like, come the fuck on. Haven't you guys learned your lesson already? Have you guys? Yeah, and that's the thing. I wish they would have done that. I feel like the only character I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like the only two characters that shooting works best for are Deadshot and Harley. Harley, because I feel like she has used guns before, even in the Arkham series. So it's like it wouldn't be a bad thing to do. I feel like for the other two, yeah, Boomerang, it was just like I honestly think that he was a like I personally I'm here's my thing with Suicide Squad. Deadshot works fine. Harley, I guess because she's like a staple of stuff, I feel like you could swap her out with somebody else and it would still be fine. Boomerang, I would have swapped him out with Captain Cold. King Shark, fine. And I would have added a couple other members. Here's what I would have done if I was if I was Rocksteady, I would have added it to where you could have teams of the Suicide Squad as usually more members. So like what I would have done is like, okay, it's a game based around 4-player co-op, right? You can have in the Suicide Squad, you can have like 2 teams of 4. You have this team, this team. You can swap out who you want to play as. Like, let's say the base game, you have all of the members show up in like the Tau, like the freaking Justice League and all that crap. And basically, you can but once like you get in, like they get a call from Waller. So like it both things interswap. So you can swap certain members to the other team or vice versa. And the thing was, like that would have been better from at least from a story standpoint, because like if you're gonna do the Suicide Squad, and it's gonna be 4 members, you would at least have to do it in a way that makes sense, because Harley has no powers. Deadshot has no powers. King Shark, debatable. Captain Boomerang, what the fuck were you thinking? No.
He's a metahuman.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like debatable in a sense of like, powers. Like, yeah, he has like durability and super strength, but I mean like something that could take on the fucking Justice League. It wouldn't work as well. Yeah, exactly. Like they tried to justify it with magic. That's not enough of a justification. Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. I gotta be blunt. That was the stupidest justification. Like, because he has ties to magic. That was dumb. I would have had it to where each Suicide Squad member would have had a tie to like they would relate to each. Like, it would have been okay. Here's what I would have done: teams of 4. So you have Deadshot, Harley, Captain Cold, King Shark. Another team. So I don't know many Green Lantern villains, so I'm gonna just say one Green Lantern, one that would rival. Cheetah, probably Bizarro, maybe, I don't know, someone that could rival Superman. Maybe they get killed off. I don't know. And then you can have one last member. So it's like teams of 4. So it could still work. Like, here's the thing. I would like, you can do a strategy-based shooter. You can do melee. The biggest problem that I feel like the game has is one thing that happened near the end. I feel like that scene with Brainiac showing. What? Sorry. Well, the thing was, like, Brainiac shows up to try to appeal to the Suicide Squad near the end. I love you, Big Dad. What am I gonna see in the chat next? Ew. If I see Uwu in the chat, I'm just gonna. No, I feel like with Suicide Squad, there's a lot of elements that I feel like you take on the Justice League, and I feel like with Brainiac as the main bad guy, the biggest thing that I could have seen them do is like, okay, what if you have like the first thing, you don't have to deal with the Justice League at first. You have to deal with the lackeys. So like, let's say the Bat family, like certain members like Red Hood, fucking Nightwing, Robin, they're under the control of Brainiac, right? They control a certain district. So you have there's 3 of them. They patrol a certain district of Metropolis. Then you have another lackey of like one of the superheroes. It's like, they try to send them in, and they got controlled by Brainiac, whatever. And they're basically on this side, and you have like, the more you take them out, and then like Brainiac shows up, he's like, tries to appeal to you guys. Like, if you if you're gonna try to get in my way, then you guys are gonna face the real threat. And then he releases, like, then you have the bit with what is it? Green Lantern, and then you have all that stuff. It's like, I feel like in a way that would have helped the game a little bit more with pacing, because like if you deal with like the lackeys, it'll show you a little bit of like, they do have like, it shows a bit of like the problem with the clones and stuff. Like, I feel like if this was the actual Justice League, I feel like there should have been a bit of some dialogue that showed that there was some redeemingness to it, where it's like they're being controlled, but how they're looking at it is like they're trying to still work for the greater good. And that's like Brainiacs warp their point of view. And I feel like that was something that the game didn't even do. Like even the Riddler being in the fucking game felt like an add-on. It's just like he's just there to drive you insane.
Yeah, it's like how the
I
hell did
didn't
this
like
guy
the
survive
imagery
out of
included.
everybody that's in Metropolis? The Riddler
Yeah, the
survived.
Riddler whole thing,
Penguin
that whole
too,
thing
but
was stupid.
yeah, it was just crazy how they did that.
Like
But
you could have this is Metropolis. You have the Penguin there. Like I kind of could think that could make sense, but I feel like if anything, I would have used like a Superman gun runner, and like maybe he's teamed up with Oswald, so you can have two different factions of guns. Um, and that whole thing. Lex Luthor still it makes sense, so it's fine. Killing him off doesn't, but that's
yeah, that was.
typical. That was dumb. Um,
He said
and
who they plan on selling it to. They just any game developer that wants to pick it up,
yeah,
they're thinking
I
about
feel like
license
the
over it.
thing if the problem is that they're kind of desperate right now, WB is, and it's kind of their own fault. I'm gonna be honest with you. If the fact that they're desperate enough to be like, here's all our properties, just like buy them and stuff like that, it kind of shows a bit of desperation. I feel like it is because like you had Suicide Squad that they were betting would be the best game of all time, and even like the way they tried to market it, and it still failed. It failed so bad. Well, it does when you have multiple losses in a row. Like even with some elements of like movies or streaming service stuff, like you have like certain games. Like well, technically it does because like Gotham Knights came out before. That was a flop. Then you had this. It's an even bigger flop, and they spent more money on it. And the only one that relatively did well was Hogwarts, and they're already here's the problem. Hogwarts, they're already trying to go in and try to screw with it. And they need to fuck off. They need to leave it alone because if they do that and they basically go and try to make that live service and they try to like screw with something that was already good, they're going to fuck up everything. And then they're going to be at a loss. Like they're going to go into financial free fall. That's true, but the thing is, sometimes WB does not care. Yeah, like that's what happened with Avengers, and that yeah yeah. But the thing is, they've had to resort to do certain things though. Well, the thing was, Suicide Squad took 7 years to make, and then they were putting all their faith into like the microtransactions and all that stuff, and like how many people are going to play it. It's going to be so great, and like even with the questionnaire crap, it was like it was given that they were trying to do stuff with it that really did not need to be done. I feel like there could have been so many ways that the game could have succeeded if they did stuff right. I feel like if you would have like here's the concept itself is doing an impossible task, like taking on the Justice League, which are literal gods. And I feel like that angle isn't a bad thing. The problem was the execution and the writing was dog shit. God, you go from Arkham City to this, and it's just like it makes you just want to hang a noose up and just like it's like it's that bad. How they managed to pass this off as good writing is beyond me. Not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
it's like he said, they have so many different IPs going to so many different things, movies, games, Cartoon Network. You know what I mean? Like even when they're like he said, even when it looks like they're taking a loss, they're really not. Even though you would think that they will be, But who's to say that this isn't a part of the budget? Like licensing out, which would be great. Even like when we talked earlier, the Daredevil game. Like I would love for Insomniac Games to pick the Daredevil game up. They have the best implementation, or even Rocksteady. If they bring back the writers, I don't know if they're still there. Did they leave? Stuff like that. If they bring back the writers that did, Nightwing's character, that's more of an actual representation of a Daredevil. Would be the comparison of Nightwing. Both acrobatic, both use escrow sticks and stuff like that. So it's
But the
one of those
problem
things
was like you can actually the thing was with Rocksteady was you go from Arkham Asylum with written by Paul Dini, and then you go to I believe Arkham City. You can tell that like Paul Dini didn't write as much. Like
Yeah, you can
it
tell.
was Stephen Hill trying to be like Paul Dini, and that was kind of the something I thought was a bit of a detriment going into that game. Like looking back at it, like you can tell. And I think it was a point that I believe K-Wing brought up about, like Arkham City and stuff like that. I don't remember what video it was said in, but I remember it came out of his mouth. So it was said originally by him, not me. So your mobs can go that direction. But I feel like with WB, when it comes to their games, I feel like Suicide Squad had the biggest potential to be good because it's Rocksteady. And the thing was that WB were the ones that decided, let's make it this, let's make it that, let's do this, let's do that. And it's like, it became something that it felt like WB wanted it to be something else. And like it wanted it to be like all this stuff. And it's like, the whole point of the Batman Arkham games were that you got to feel what it's like to be Batman. And this, it should have been the same thing. It's like, what is it like to be like the Suicide Squad? What is it like to be the villain having to do, something like what? What are you laughing for?
This dude said, who will win in a fight, Naruto with the ancient genjutsu or Scotty Brooks?
Oh my goodness. Well, we gotta get the freaking versus series. Here we go. They'll handle them.
Yeah, we did.
Actually, the videos that I like making the most are like how I believe stuff would be remade or stuff like that. I think the funnest video I think I got to do on my gaming channel was the one where I was like how Capcom should remake Devil May Cry 3. And I did see a lot of people that were kind of like I wouldn't call there were some people in the comments that were a little bit dickish. And like some were nice and stuff, but I feel like there was a few that were like that game should never be remade, blah blah blah. It's like not many of them, I'm betting, watched the full video to see like what I was doing with it, because like the full ideas of the video were like I took the foundation of the game that I didn't have a problem with. I felt like there's elements that I feel like could use tweaking, and that was like maybe giving Lady a campaign, tweaking the combat, adding some stuff that I felt like could be added. Keeping the foundational elements, but just kind of doing stuff a little different. Like keeping some things, but not all. It's the same thing with the Daredevil one, but I feel like that one I kind of did rush that video a little bit. I felt like I kind of just threw it together and called it a day, which I kind of apologize for, but yeah.
He's like, that's tough.
We just got a Wolverine and Deadpool movie, and you're asking me this now after we've seen them fight, and it's pretty much a tie? No, it's a tie. If what I remember was well, the thing was that's in a car, but if we're like in an open terrain and stuff like that, it's like that's a car. Deadpool. Well, Deadpool would probably make annoy Wolverine so much that he would blow his brains out. He's just like, it's kind of like that one joke that Walter said from Jeff Dunham. It's like when he was like, he would run for president. He's like, you know what I would freaking do? I would bang on their tents so early in the morning just to piss them off. Maybe they get so frustrated they would fucking kill themselves. That's pretty much what Deadpool would do. Would just annoy the shit out of Wolverine just to the point where he's like, fuck this shit. Dead. I'd rather fucking kill myself.
Now I'm going. I'm going. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many games that I believe.
He think he's mystical or something.
It sounds like a freaking like he's someone on Tourette's. It's like what the hell? Speak English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Nah, bro. I probably will have to go. I think skill level wise, Wolverine has more skill and experience. Wolverine has more experience than Deadpool. Deadpool has more skill than Wolverine. Deadpool heals faster than Wolverine. But Wolverine, what's going to stop Deadpool from actually like getting a blow off is because the adamantium structure.
What the hell?
That's
we know Deadpool's half gay, but still.
Yeah. You like how I did that for the Deadpool fan?
That was a terrible joke, by the way.
Gave him a blow off. Yeah, but he wouldn't be able to pierce Wolverine unless he has adamantium swords. That's the only thing that's going to cut. That's the only thing that's going to be able to cut through him. Now
no, there is one other thing. He doesn't have to have an adamantium sword. He just has to have freaking that one particular sword. A blow off is crazy. Yo, Deadpool would like that, man. He's already talked about pegging. Come on, man.
all throughout the movie.
He'd be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, me Deadpool like this. We gonna go all night, yeah." Oh, this is going so far. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he regenerates way faster than.
Like there's one sword from like House of X that he would need, and he wouldn't even need adamantium. It was just the one sword that can kill Wolverine. That, or what he could do is like freaking like Deadpool is like a mercenary. All he needs to do is like look at the X file for like how to kill Wolverine. It's like separate his head from his body so he can't regenerate, and that's it. Well, you can kill him. It just takes a lot. No, his daughter managed to kill him in her boat. Trust me, you can kill him. It just takes a lot to kill him.
Let him get his point across. I like hearing these.
Debunking that statement because one, Walking Dead has proven you can kill what's already dead, especially Resident Evil. Nope, zombies exist. But technically they can be dead, but the thing is, the body itself, even with Resident Evil, it's proven that like they can be dead, sure, but if the brain is like, they're just like the minor organs that, especially uh, the brain is connected to everything. That's like the whatever is activating the brain or the certain organs to keep the body in like a free flow state of moving around and stuff like that. It's like being brain dead. It's like the heart and everything could be working, but if the brain is gone, everything is on autopilot. You take out the heart, you die. Even if the brain is still working, even if your lungs are still working, it's like
he said, "What if you put Deadpool in a vat of acid?"
Motherfucker would die. Motherfucker would be dead. Yes, and it's always been through supernatural means or something. Throw his ass into a sun. Let's see if he comes back. Throw him into the sun. Throw him into a sun and see if he comes back. He'd be in space. He would be dead. No, like literally, no. Has anyone ever threw him into into the sun? Yes. No, exactly. I win. Because the sun is thousands of degrees Celsius. That would incinerate him. Yes, but Deadpool would die because the sun is so hot. No, let me finish. The sun is so hot that it melts anything. The heat. No, hold on. Heat melts anything to ash. That's the reason why in an explosion there's nothing left of a body besides either bones or ash. The sun isn't going to die anytime soon. Also, you also have to take in consideration that Omega Red is built to kill him too. So, yeah. Oh well, enough. When it comes, enough of the nerd talk. Kidding, obviously. It's like Mom, we're having a conversation here. We're talking about comics and how to kill certain characters. Let me get my glasses real quick. I'm going to have to do this as an essay. Let's see if I get a plus or a minus. Thank you.
I think he did. You did a poll on your channel.
Real world science into
like
this conversation about the heat of the sun. Oh wait, you are a college professor? I knew that, Mom. But no, in all seriousness, no. If there's one thing I think Insomniac should do, as a partnership, that would be making a Ben 10 game. Now we've had a lot of different Ben 10 games, but none have really scratched the mark for me personally. I would love to see a modern either Ben 10 game, Danny Phantom game, or a Percy Jackson game. The only Percy Jackson game we have ever gotten was for DS. I'm surprised Lego, of all people, has not picked up that franchise. Those motherfuckers had made Lord of the Rings, Batman, Marvel, and all that shit, and you're telling me that they have not picked up Percy Jackson and they picked up Harry Potter? Spare me. It's like, what are they thinking? But no, in a realm of like possibility, if there's one franchise I think Insomniac could do, and like you can take the fundamental stuff of like, okay, how many Ben 10 games have we had? Okay, we had the little kid version games. Yes, I would love them to do Ben 10,000. That would be the game that I think we can do like on modern hardware. Like, that would be perfect because like imagine this. Instead of having like a playlist of like whatever, imagine if you can just you can either like have a playlist full of 1,000 different aliens that you can just random like if you wanted to choose, and it's like you can like have certain ones equipped to the top, or you can just with a punch of a button, just switch into whatever alien you want. Because it would be so cool to have like a Ben 10,000 game. Especially base it off of like the original Ben 10 Classic and all that stuff. I feel like it would be perfect. Like you can pull the angle of making it look like the show, or you can have it look like real reality. And I personally would love it to look more like Spider-Man and stuff like that. That's just me. Well, I think it would look cool if it was that way. I don't mind it looking like the cartoon show, even if it's I don't know. I feel like it's so cool, but it's like for me, I think a lot of people would be like, eh.
Yeah, it's just
And I
bringing that realism to into the character. Got to be
yeah,
open
and
world
make it
too.
look better than the live action movies. Yeah, I feel like hell, you can even do so much with it. With like the thousands of aliens you have, like each one of them could be like they could have different things they can bring to a puzzle, to combat, to whatever. Like maybe you can do something to where like you can make
Streets
like
ain't
a
ready for that.
story that really like it's like a like call it like Ben 10,000. Um, you know,
They ain't ready for that
rise
yet,
of
D.
like like something of the future, like it's like hero of the future, and like maybe Dr. Animo does something to the Ben 10,000 watch, scatters like some like messes up the DNA samples, so like you have to reacquire some DNA, or like do something interesting with it and like have like future versions of like this is like an alternate timeline. So you can have evil Kevin 1,000. You can have a Charmcaster. You can have Darkstar. You can do like a different timeline of events, and it would be cool. Um, and like hell, you can have Yuri Lowenthal in it or something. I don't know. There's so many things. Like there's games I wish could get made, like Prototype or Infamous or something. But it's like getting them like you'd have to. Yeah. Prototype especially are Infamous. Infamous is the main one I feel like deserves something. A Young Justice game. That would work, but I think that there's one particular flaw is that you've had so many different ones, and with Young Justice, I feel like they've kind of from the goodness of the first few seasons, now they've kind of like I don't know, they just kind of It's been I don't know. The newer ones have been
The newer Young Justice games, or you talking about the
No,
season?
not the games, just in general the show. It's like the problem that Young Justice had, especially near like as it was going on, it's like you would go these massive time jumps, and it's like the characters that you were so attached to, like now you have to develop these new ones, and then like it's just like it keeps like it's a flaw that the show has where it's like you don't even get a chance to really get attached to the new ones the way you did the old ones and stuff like that. I feel like that was something that really started to at least I started to notice as the show was going on a little bit.
I think I think with that is that they have to introduce more additional characters, because I think even at the time Robin was already no, Dick Grayson Dick Grayson's Robin in that show in the first season was already 12 years old.
Yeah, I get that.
And to
I
even
mean,
make
like,
the
problem
argument, I
was
don't
that
even think he was
every
12. I
time
think
there
he
was,
might have
like,
been between 12 and 15 years old.
yeah, but I mean, like, every time that the show went on a hiatus, there was like a time jump, and like then there's like thousands of new characters. It's like you can't even keep up with it at that point, and you don't know what happens to this, or it's like they just like a fill in the blanks, and it's like after that point, it's like okay, like like even the whole thing with like the massive time jump between that one season. It's like, oh, apparently you go from this whole thing with Roy, and then like apparently him and Cheshire actually did hook up. They got married off like this what's it called. Then apparently she secretly had a kid, never told him, and then like and now it's this. And it's like
That was
fuck
season.
that.
I think that was season 3 when all of that
Oh.
transpired.
Actually, if there's one game I think deserves like an actual remake, I believe it would be Marvel's Avengers.
You said how you feel
Now,
about Static Shock
I
family
want to do a
DCU.
video on this, but this is just me. Yes. No. Let me. No, hold on. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. I know what you all say. It's like Marvel's Avengers remake. Oh god. No, but like I'm saying, like a reimagined remake of that game because here's the first thing I would change. The first thing I would change is changing the live service thing. Get that shit out of the game. We're getting rid of it from the get go. But we are keeping some aspects of a co-op angle, but it would slightly be tweaked and better suited. It's more of a single player game, but you can play as the other Avengers. The story itself and the characters, some of the characters I would redesign, most of them, because I would take an angle from either the animated Avengers movies where like you have Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the show. I would take the angles from that and like how I would handle the Avengers, and also the animated movies. The story I would keep somewhat the same but slightly tweak it, where Kamala does play a major role in it, but near the end, it's not about, oh, Captain America is secretly alive. This time he would be dead. It's about like, if the Avengers are gone, this time around it's about like Kamala making like the young Avengers. It's like, you know what? We looked up to you. We're we're gonna stand up for the world, even if you guys won't do it anymore. And like that's what this game would like. I would change the story to better suit like the passing of the torch. It's like these are the Avengers have been around for a while. Maybe we could see like some adventures they had and some elements of it like with AIM, stuff like that. That's perfect. I feel like certain things I would tweak heavily, but I like elements enough where it's like, okay, maybe we can do something with it.
Ultimate Alliance remake, I would definitely play that. Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Well, true, but I feel like for this, like Marvel's Avengers remake, like the game, like compared to the base game, what I described, do you think would be better? Yes, in a sense, like the Resident Evil remakes. Yeah, but this would be it's remaking a bad game and actually making it better. No, I don't think I would make. I would.
You gotta let him get his point across, bro. You gotta let him get his point across.
Okay, that's fair. I can agree, but I feel like sometimes, like even with a bad game, like okay, for instance, how many bad games? Like there's been games that Capcom have made that are very bad, right? Like Resident Evil 3 remake. It's nothing like the original. It's not that good. But people would buy a remake of that remake. Like if someone did it, if Capcom redid it and made it better, I think people would buy it. If like the people if Square Enix like, okay, we're gonna remake this game. We're gonna make it solo player from the get-go. We're going to fix it up. We're going to improve everything that was a flaw in the original, and we're also going to make it almost like a new version of that game and advertise it as such. I think a lot of people would actually buy it. I think you would be wrong there, because like if it looks different enough compared to the original, and it also like really has a different feel, then I feel like people would give it a chance. Like for instance, Guardians of the Galaxy was being made by Square Enix as well. When the trailers were dropping, people were shitting on that game. They like, you could see like the state of plays and stuff like that, and people were, just shitting on it. Game comes out, complete 180. I feel like if Square Enix was to remake Marvel's Avengers, yeah, you can say, like, call it Marvel's Avengers remake, or they can call it something new, but it secretly is a remake of the Marvel's Avengers that they made. It's like, you can call it, like, let's say they call it Marvel's Avengers, Age of Heroes, like Marvel's Avengers Age of Heroes. Or call it something else, like slightly tweak the title. I feel like at that point, you can kind of handle it like a remake. Because like Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 2, like most of them, I believe, like the remakes don't have like the remake title. It's just like assigned to it. I don't know if it's on the cover or not. Hold on a second. Do I have? Hold on. I don't believe. Yeah, it's just called Resident Evil 4. They don't put like remake in the title. It's like a subtitle sometimes.
THQ, roll to WrestleMania, bring that back, but not THQ. Pass on that. Roll to WrestleMania, they definitely got to bring that back.
I don't know. You're free to disagree with me. I just think that Marvel's Avengers I feel like could have been done way better. And if they were to remake the game from the ground up, taking cues from Avengers First Mightiest Heroes and stuff like that, I think it would be brilliant.
He talking about Budokai Tenkaichi series got to remake. Anything is possible. No, hell no.
Here's the thing. I actually would. Now, I'll give you a valid argument to why. If they would improve the story and take the stuff that didn't need to be there in the first place out of it, and remake it from the ground up, use some recycled audio and stuff like that, if they could, then yes, I probably would give it a chance. Because here's the thing, if they would have went with their original vision with like combat and certain elements and make it single player and like heavily tweak the story, then yes, I would get the remake version of it.
Nah, man, I'm gonna agree to disagree with you on that.
Paid $100 for the early access, which was a huge mistake.
I would rather see a Gotham Knights remake, because it's a dead game for sure. But if we're making a comparison to the
you're getting robotic.
I
don't know if it's the app or it's something, but it was getting a little robotic for a minute there, lagging.
I'm going Gotham Knights. But which one did you have more fun playing? Was it Suicide Squad or Gotham Knights? Yeah, everybody's gonna say Marvel's Avengers.
Marvel's Avengers needs a remake. Hell, like even with my pitch for Kamala's characters, like, okay, we can't bring back the Avengers. Well, you know what? We're going to be another version of it. Like, we'll be like the Young Avengers and stuff like that. I feel like that would be a passing of the torch of like even her and the basic Avengers, like the Young Avengers teaming up with the real Avengers, to team up near the end would be even more sweeter. And then maybe you find out near the end of the game that like Captain America is still alive, but like, like in a post-credit scene and like tease it or something.
Who knows?
Yeah, I honestly enjoyed Marvel's Avengers. And then I would have to say Suicide Squad Killer Justice League was fun because it felt a lot more fluent. You had more like it's the weapons that made the game fun. Like it's because it's a looter shooter. But story wise, campaign mode, I'm going Gotham Knights second.
I think Gotham Knights, if they would have, like, the gameplay was redone, that game would have been a little bit better. The story itself that it's trying to tell is good in concept, but in execution, some elements are piss poor.
Yeah.
You have three like villains that are a part of it, and like they're just kind of like typical. Like Harley, you could have done something a little bit different with. I think someone actually did try to redo those side missions. Same like for Clayface. We don't even get to see any other villains besides those three. And it kind of frustrates me that they reduce Mr. Freeze into let's freeze the world. No, it's like I didn't know we were getting Arnold Schwartz. I'm not going to say the last name. Freaking part of this. I didn't know we were getting that version of Mr. Freeze. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Those were typically the only ones, like you were saying. I think they should have let. I mean, it was for when even before the game came out, the leaks like they told big YouTubers were like, yeah, Bruce Wayne's not dead, he's coming back, and you got to fight him, and he's gonna kill himself again. So,
yeah, and I feel like even Suicide Squad, like the boss fights, there's so many things you could do with those boss fights that could have been improved. Like the Flash, like that whole boss fight. Hell, here's my biggest gripe with this game, and it's something that really pisses me off. You got Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, Batman. 5 members. Where the fuck are the other ones? It's called the original 7. Even Alex Ross knows this. Martian Manhunter and Aquaman. Where the fuck are they? They were just shit. Like, they just like, oh, let's just use the basics ones. It's like, no. Yeah, hell, you could even like Brainiac controls entirely like Metropolis. You could have had even some villains like Superman villains or like what's it called ones that are under his control, and like you could have had like mini boss fights instead of this typical bullshit of like doing that stupid gun over and over. Like that would have been fun. Like imagine having to deal with like Parasite, and then he has to turn into like a freaking kaiju, like in My Adventures with Superman. Now that would have been a cool boss fight. Like having to team up against like Parasite, he absorbs so much power, he becomes like a kaiju, and you have to strategize on how to defeat him. And stuff like you could do so much with that. Like I don't know what the hell they were thinking. It's like, what was going on in the writing room? Like, well, let's just do the same stupid bullshit for side activities. It's like, fuck no. No one wants that. Even if it's live service, okay? The problem that Marvel's Avengers had was you had 3 boss fights, and you hardly had any. Even in the story mode, you had Taskmaster, you had Abomination. Where the fuck were the other villains that Avengers have fought? Where were they? Non-existent. They cut probably they cut them, and it makes no sense, and it's so aggravating. And the same problem that Suicide Squad has is like, okay, if you're going to do live service, add something to it. Like, yeah, you could easily do the same stuff over and over, but why do that? Why not do something a little bit interesting? Like even with the story, there was moments where you could be like, well, let's say Brainiac has like a mind controlled freaking like certain Superman villains, like maybe even not even just Superman, just like maybe he has like certain aliens that are a part of his ship, like maybe he has some mind controlled Temegarians or whatever, like Hawkman and Hawkwoman's people, and like other ones. Like you can have like change up the enemy dynamic so much that like you're not fighting the stupid robotic mind controlled, Metropolis people anymore. You can have even aliens that you have to fight that change up the dynamic of enemy encounters. And you don't have to cheat your way into, well, okay, well, the Flash gets defeated, Green Lantern gets defeated, so we're going to take those enemies and basically we're going to make them into we're going to take those boss fights and add those mechanics into basic enemies. It's like you can do that, but it's still going to suck. And Brainiac's an intelligent character. You would expect him to play this whole thing up like a chess game. It's like Magneto and Charles. Like you would expect him to like use more to his advantage. Like I was expecting like maybe they could even throw us some curveballs like with enemies. It's like, you can have like aliens under his control. You can have basic people, like certain like even supervillains that like maybe that were a part of Metropolis, like they were locked up in like iron, like maybe a prison in the off chance of like Metropolis. Like you can have like Superman villains. Like, yeah, I think a lot of people will be like, well, this just gives me a fault. Like, why couldn't we have a Superman game and fight these guys? It's like, well, you could, but it's like still you can do so much, but you don't. It's like even if it's live service, you can do unique stuff. And I feel like the idea that Rocksteady went with was like, let's go and do the basic shit. Let's go and ride again with a cart for 5 whole minutes and get to this location. Let's, defeat a gun and let's do nothing. Nothing original. It's like, yeah, I can understand that even with Avengers, they had a problem with recycling boss fights, but it's like for like the story purposes, I feel like you could get away with a few being a part of the story and a few being a part of like the live service angle. Yeah, they had like it was out for like a year and it was just like a big dumpster fire. So it was like yeah.
Yeah.
I do like what they did something different with it with using aim and they use like some inhuman stuff and stuff like that. I feel like that whole angle was a good idea.
Yeah, it was.
I do think some parts of the game are a bit predictable, and like you could make the argument that, well, they're kind of trying to be like the MCU. It's like I feel like that was probably, yeah, I feel like that was something that a lot of people made the argument of like it's just like it feels like every character is trying to be like the MCU and they look like it and stuff like that, and it's like I could see the argument of that. So why not have them take more liberties of like the comics and stuff like that? I feel like if they would have designed the characters, like MODOK was the only one that I felt like they actually kind of took cues from Doc Ock from Marvel's Spider-Man, and that was the only one that was like, okay, I like this. And I feel like after that, it was like Taskmaster awful, Abomination pretty okay, and that's it. I feel like if Marvel's Avengers was to if they were to do anything differently, it would have been the first few things they should have done were, I believe, base the game off of the comics or Marvel's Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which before the MCU, that was probably the best way to treat like Avengers and stuff like that. Bone Thugs. Yes. What does Bone Thugs mean? Explain, good sir. Explain. What the hell? Bone Thugs.
Actually, when they delisted that game from the place from the marketplace store,
I never played it. I never did play it. I need to.
I actually bought that game for $15 on Marketplace when I found out they were delisting it from the Play Store. Yeah. No, I bought the game digitally. I got the digital deluxe edition, like with the Black Panther, the Spider-Man, all that stuff on there. Then I rebought the physical copy because it was getting delisted. You know, I do respect Crystal Dynamics because they did when the game was going to get delisted. They actually went on a website. They answered a bunch of the fans' questions, stuff like that.
I got the one with Spider-Man, and that was here's the thing. I feel like even the whole structure of stuff, like the team mechanical stuff, like, you know, they could have done Avengers in a way where it works. Like with Suicide Squad and all that stuff, it's like I'll give credit where credit's due. It is an open world. You can play as any of the characters. Each one does stuff differently. If only if the traversal wasn't ass. In both games, it's always the traversal that's ass. It's probably expired though.
You can't even use that. You can't use that. Yeah. You can't use that at all.
No, I've held on to codes before, and I forgot that and there's a few that I went back and tried to use them, and then they were expired, and I was like, shit.
Oh, you need to try to use that code that I gave you, bro. Yeah, but you probably need to use it before it expires, though.
Speaking of Outlaws, wait a minute.
Expired.
Speaking of Star Wars,
it shouldn't be expired. I thought the $50 voucher code should have been good for a while. I don't think I didn't have it for a year yet.
Speaking of Star Wars, I'm really hoping now. I like Jedi Survivor has gotten crapped on when it came to the Game Awards. It got nothing. Same as Marvel Spider-Man. I'm hoping that game gets another game, and the one thing I want them to improve is the way they do the story this time around, because it did not have the same weight that the original one did. Oh, did the stream end already? Yeah. It says the stream ended. No, it's for me it said ended. It's weird. Hold on. Is he frozen? Well, for me, it shows like it says ended, and it's like 2 hours, 10:14. I can try to send them a screenshot. My phone was almost dead anyways. Like it's at 13. Oh. Oh shit. Probably. Technical. Well, yeah, like I don't sometimes I do have the bad habit of like talking over people and stuff like that. I don't mean to. So I do kind of apologize though. I don't want to come off like an argumentative asshole or nothing. Yeah. Well, it was actually kind of fun. I'll give it credit. That's just like, you know, I know I'm gonna probably try to live stream later on tonight. Maybe a game. I don't know what I'm gonna play though. Yeah. If you're welcome to stop by. I'm just gonna be streaming on the main channel because like I don't have it connected to where I can do it for the gaming channel yet or any of that. But the sad thing is with the main channel, I went from 69 down to 68,
Then I think it was last night, it was like 66. This morning I woke up, went like 64. It's like, damn, I'm dropping subs like flies. Fuck. It's like shit. Oh well. I don't know. I think like maybe I know I'm gonna stream something on my PlayStation. I don't know what I'm gonna stream yet because like I have like I could do like I have like the Arkham series. I have Darksiders. Like I have like the Lego games or stuff like that. But I don't know what I could stream. My friend is probably gonna be playing that. He's a big Call of Duty person. Him and his girlfriend both. I could not get into those games the way they did. Yeah, like he loves like he grinds on it. Him and her love those games. I try to play it, but like I just play it for fun and that's about it. Like I just can't like play with my friends, that's when it's fun, but like trying to do all that other shit is like nah. Like yeah, like I'll probably either do like I want to do something different. Maybe I might do either the OG God of War, like like 2018, or maybe RE4 on hardcore. Yeah, yeah, like I could do Batman, but I've played it so many times. I don't know. Like, yeah, I could do like either Arkham Knight or something, but I've played it so many times. It's like I don't want to do something I've streamed before. Yeah, like I would I'm thinking about either doing Resident Evil 4 Classic, like finishing that one, or Zero, or not Zero, but 1. I don't know. Well, see you, man.